everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia and this is The Feminine Fancy. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you've had a wonderful week so far. We had a pretty crazy week in our household. My husband was actually bitten by a pit bull while he was walking around town, and long story short, he ended up having to get a series of rabies shots, and will continue to have to get those shots over the course of, the next like 3-4 weeks. Praise God for modern medicine. He's doing okay. And if you saw this on Instagram and sent over prayers, thank you so much. I honestly got like so many people sending over prayers and well wishes. So thank you. He's doing great. And yeah, we're just taking it easy, resting, but he's doing fine. So thank you so much. But I'm excited to jump into the topic for today's video, which is the lies that I feel like I have seen touted about femininity. These are just my opinions. I've just seen some things on Beyonce's internet that I personally disagree with when it comes to the femininity conversation, but that's just me, and you feel free to disagree. If you're new here, hi, my name is Felicia and I like to talk about lifestyle, homemaking, and traditional femininity. And if you're interested in any of that, then please hit the red subscribe button, join our online community. And with that said, let's jump into these things. Actually, initially this was going to be a list of 10 things, but then I only could come up with 8. So if you have a couple more things that you've seen online that you're just like, no, then leave a comment down below letting me know, because I know that this is not a comprehensive list. Okay, so the first thing, I think this is the biggest thing that I've seen, is this overarching idea that being educated is not feminine. Now, this one I feel like I've seen from various men on the internet, various pastors saying things like this. And it's not that they flat out say like, oh, being educated isn't feminine. It's the way that they sort of twist the conversation to say, oh, well, if you have your degree and you have a job and you have all these things, why would a man want to be with you? And that just is I don't get it. I think that that's just a lie. I don't think that being successful in the sort of like capitalist, patriarchal standard way necessarily takes away from your inherent femininity. Just because you went to college and got a degree, like, that is something to be praised. That's something to be excited about. That's something to be honored and like, good for you. Some of my fondest years of my life were in college. Not because I was doing anything crazy, not because I was staying out all night, even though I did have a few nights like that, but just because I was learning so much and absorbing so much information. I truly feel like college, those years where I really got my footing, were some of the happiest of my life, because I was learning and I love to learn. There's nothing wrong with having a college degree. It does not make you any less feminine. And if there's a man who's intimidated by the fact that you have your degree, that's honestly not the kind of man that you want to be with. I'm just going to say it. There are plenty of relationships with either, one partner who has a degree and the other one doesn't, whether it's the man or the woman. But either way, if that person's going to be intimidated by you and they're going to have some sort of issue with the fact that you went to college and you wanted to like expand your understanding of things, college is not for everyone. University is not for everyone. I will be the first one to say that. You rack up debt if your parents didn't like stash away a college fund for you, and you come out of it having to pay off this debt, which does suck. Yes, that is true. And it's not exactly it doesn't exactly put you on the best footing for becoming a stay-at-home wife or mom if you have to work to pay off your student loans. However, personally, I'm a huge proponent of higher education, because I believe that what it gives you, it's not that it perfectly sets you up for real life, right? And because I know a lot of people have that complaint. It's not that it perfectly sets you up for life outside of school. It's not that they teach you everything you need to know about a mortgage and taxes and all of the like day-to-day things. Like, yeah, it would be great if we learned those things in school at some point. Unfortunately, we don't. It would be great. However, what college does give you, and I will die on this hill, is the ability to think critically. College challenges you to think outside the box, to look into what someone else's life experience might be in a very critical way, and to have discussions with people that have a differing opinion of you, people who grew up in a different environment than you. It exposes you to the world, and it gives you the ability to think outside of the box. And that is why college, in my opinion, is important. And that is why I believe that if you are a woman who has chosen to go to college and you finish, going to college, getting your degree, it doesn't make you, I don't know why people, I don't understand why, this one I've seen men specifically, but I don't understand why men would automatically see that as a negative. I think it's a positive, and I think if you are nervous about wanting to go to school but not wanting to be too intimidating in the dating market, do what's best for you, have the experiences that you want to have, and the right person, the right man will love that about you. Some of my best conversations with my husband when we were dating were about the excursions and the adventures that we had during our college years, like when he sailed from Mallorca to I forget, I don't know, the Canary Islands, when he went on his big sailing excursion, and when I went to Australia, and when he studied abroad in Prague and I went to Honduras. Like, we had so much to talk about because we had both lived very full lives. Part of that exposure to the bigger world happens when you go to college. So that's my spiel about college. Ultimately, I just don't think that being educated means that you're not feminine, or means that men aren't gonna want you, and you don't want those men anyway. The next lie that I've seen perpetuated a lot is this idea, and this is perpetuated by both men and women, is this idea that you hit a wall like at 27. I don't know who came up with that, but I have to say it has impacted me, and I think it has impacted all of us, because there's no reason why when we turn 30, it should feel like this really big, scary thing. 30 is still incredibly young. 30 is fun, it's flirty, it's thriving, and depending on where you are in life, like, you can have I haven't talked to anyone who has said that they haven't had a blast in their 30s. And yet, I feel like as women, we feel so stressed out turning 30, or like 30, 31, 32, 33. And it's because of this notion that, like, you are at your peak in your 20s and you hit the wall at 27. And I just don't think that that is true. There are so many women that I've been so inspired by, particularly I've seen on TikTok, who are 40, 50, 60, and they look amazing, and they're living their best life, and they're not super concerned with the societal expectation of what they should look like as a woman. And if you really think about that pressure, right? That pressure that we feel to be constantly infantilized, that is not conducive to growing into our womanhood and growing into being a woman, growing into a woman who is mature, who is sophisticated, who is elegant, who's classy, who's worldly. Like, it's not really conducive to that. Your 20s are great for your 20s. And when you get to your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, instead of like dreading it, I think we should be honoring and looking forward to it. This idea that we hit a wall, or we're not as attractive at 27 or 25 as we are at 30, I just think we need to stop saying that. Like, let's just stop saying that. Do we look different? Yes. I was looking at some pictures of my husband and I when we first started dating, and I was 25, and I was like, oh, I look a lot different. Like, my face has matured. I look a lot different. Even when I look at old videos of myself on this channel, I'm like, wow, I look a lot different now than I did back then. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's worse. I just look different because we're constantly changing. And we shouldn't place this expectation on women that we're always gonna look exactly the same. Do you expect a baby to look exactly the same? Look at babies. My brother and his wife just had a baby, and I go visit her once a week, and every time I go, she looks dramatically different, this baby. One day she looks one way, I go visit her the next week, she looks like a completely different baby, because we're constantly changing. That's not something that just like stops in our 20s. So this idea that you hit a wall, or you're no longer attractive, you're not as appealing, all of these things, I just think we need to stop with that negativity, because it's not true, for one. And for two, it's contributing to like negative self-image for all women of all ages. And that's just not okay. So you don't hit a wall in your late 20s or at any point. What is hitting a wall? Like, that doesn't happen. we continue to grow, we continue to mature and grow in our, our feminine beauty and our mature beauty, and that is a beautiful thing. Okay, the next lie that I want to talk about is that the goal of tapping into and understanding your femininity better is somehow only to find a husband. Now, I know that there are plenty of women who want to be married, and I was one of them. I wanted to be married. Like, I'll say it. I wanted a husband, and I specifically wanted to be married to my husband. But there is this pervasive idea that the whole point, the whole concept of femininity is specifically to find a husband, or that you should do it with that sort of end goal in mind. I don't think that the main purpose of femininity is always, or has to always be, to find a husband. You can tap into your femininity. You can enjoy traditional femininity without the end goal being to be married. Some people, this might be, crazy to some of you, some people don't want to get married, and that's totally okay. Like, you don't have to get married. You don't have to want to get married. Like, nothing, it's okay. But that doesn't mean that you can't tap into your femininity. You can't enjoy, these sort of more traditional aspects and characteristics of womanhood and of femininity. Like, you can still have a good time with it, with your end goal not being to find a husband. Okay, the next lie is that you have to spend a lot of money to look and feel feminine. Again, this isn't one that I think people are flat out saying. However, when you go on anyone's TikTok, Instagram, all of the that girl things, all of the old money, things and stuff like that, it's always coming with like you can shop all of these, you can buy all of these products to accomplish the look, to accomplish the that girl aesthetic in my Amazon storefront. And it always requires a lot of money, or it always requires some sort of investment. I do think investing in yourself is important, but I think that there is this notion that we have to jump on every single thing and buy every single thing that people have decided is feminine. There's this one perfume that I constantly get ads for on TikTok. I don't know what it's called. It's a gold bottle. It has like red on it. I don't know. I've seen it advertised a bajillion times on TikTok. And so many people, if you go to they run to the comments and they're like, where do I get it? How do I buy it? Like, the consumer mentality around wanting to tap into that feminine side and smell nice and be enchanting and be magnetic, right? Like, a lot of women, whether they know it or not, whether they're invested in femininity content or not, want that. And so they will spend a lot of money to try to accomplish that. But you don't have to do that. Like, you can buy things secondhand. You can go to thrift stores. You can find ways to enhance your femininity that don't cost a lot of money. And I will say, I feel like how do I say this? I feel like my hair was the longest, my skin was the clearest, my energy was the best when I was just using drugstore products. Like, I hate to say it, but the more that I have deviated from drugstore products, tried to jump onto every single thing at Sephora or wherever, that people online say like, oh, you have to have this thing. I feel like it's gotten more and more complicated, right? And so you don't have to spend a lot of money to look nice, to feel feminine. You don't have to empty out your paycheck every Friday on, $200 perfumes or $500 handbags if you don't want to. If you have the money and you want to, go for it. If you don't have the money, you don't need that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that, a lot of femininity tied in with consumerism, tied in with wealth. And they're not related. They're not related, right? Like, femininity is your birthright. It's, as a woman, you are a feminine being, right? Or you might lean more towards feminine qualities and characteristics. You don't have to spend a lot of money to accomplish that. You already are that. The next lie that I want to address is that femininity has one look. It looks one way. Femininity looks different on everyone. I've said this from the beginning of my channel. It looks different on everyone, right? Like, Some of us lean more like boho. Some of us lean more preppy. Some of us lean more professional. Like, there are different ways to express your femininity, and it looks different on everyone. The way that you are able to express your femininity is by being authentically yourself. I've seen different things online saying like, oh, if you want to be feminine, this is what you wear, this is how you do your hair, this is how you do this, and it's no. How you express your femininity is based on how you authentically let your personality and who you are come through. And if that means wearing dresses, go for it. Obviously, I'm constantly wearing dresses. But if that means not wearing dresses, if that means dressing a little bit more edgy, if that means, you know, having more fun with yourself, if that means cutting your hair short, like whatever it is, if it's authentic to you, your femininity will come through. You don't have to like fit into one specific look or one specific way of being or looking. Okay, this next one I think is super important. And again, this isn't something I've explicitly seen, but it's more so an innuendo. And that is that being a feminine woman means never letting loose and never having fun. I will never tell you not to have fun. I will never tell you what kind of music to listen to. I will never tell you like any of that, because I think that we're getting into dangerous territory a bit, where it's nice to be elegant, right? It's nice to be classy. It's nice to be polished. All of those things are nice. At the same time, we're human beings, and there is a time and a place to let loose and enjoy yourself. Now, of course, even within that, there's like boundaries, right? But ultimately, like, if you want to get up and dance, get up and dance. Have a good time. Laugh. Enjoy life. We're here for a blip, a short amount of time. And I personally don't want to spend it constantly feeling like I have to be perfectly poised, I have to be perfectly proper, I can't let loose, I can't do anything wrong. Life is about being yourself, making mistakes, and learning from those mistakes. And it's also, personally, I feel like it's about enjoying it. Like, what else are we gonna do? Like, I don't believe that life is meant to be misery. Life can be pretty sad on its own, right? So let's not make it worse. Let's try to enjoy the happy moments and dance and laugh and have fun with our girlfriends, have fun with our, you know, our husband. Just enjoy it. Have good, healthy, clean fun, and really be able to let loose. And sometimes you have to be able to let loose in like a safe environment, right? So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen over the years some of our family parties, and they get crazy. We're dancing, we're having a good time. The music is at 100 and we're just having a fabulous time. And that's sort of like a safe environment where I feel like I can let loose, I can dance, I can sing, I can have a good time. I'm never going to sit on the sidelines and not enjoy my life for the sake of being feminine, right? Or for the sake of being elegant. Again, I think, there's like a happy medium. There's a time and a place for certain things, and you just have to use your own knowledge and understanding and discretion to know like what is the time and place for these things. But generally speaking, I'm always going to be a proponent of you having fun, because again, I think life can be very dreadful or dreary, I think is a better word. So when we have opportunities to like have a good time, I'm gonna say have a good time. Okay, this next one is a little bit less about femininity and more about homemaking. And that is that you have to be married to be a homemaker. You can be a homemaker if you live by yourself, if it's you and, you know, a child, you and a roommate, you and your parents. You can be a homemaker no matter where you live. Is it cool, like, to have your own space and your own family that you get to be a homemaker for? Yes, it's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. However, you don't have to wait until you have those things to be a homemaker if that's what you truly wanna do and that's how you truly feel. Like, you can learn and you can invest in understanding more about homemaking and learning how to bake a loaf of bread and learning, you know, how to have a cleaning schedule and understanding the importance of reading the labels of your clothes before you put them in the wash and learning all of these really fun hacks and tricks and tips to be a homemaker. You can do all of that stuff before you get married. So it has gotten so dark, so my lighting has changed, but I feel like sometimes I will see, you know, homemaking accounts on Instagram and they really are emphasizing marriage. And marriage is beautiful, it's important, it's great, and I love it for everyone, and I want it for everyone who wants it. But you can be a homemaker no matter where you're at in life. You don't have to be married, you don't have to have your own family yet, or ever. If that's not what you want, you can still do fun homemaking tasks and just love it. Okay, finally, this is the most important one I think I'm going to say in this whole video. That is the lie that your womanhood is of high or low value. I've said before, I really don't love these terms, high value woman, high value man. Like, I get the concept intellectually. Like, I get it, right? It's like, there are certain things when looking for a partner that you might consider high value. But I just don't, because to me, it's just kind of cruel. It's just kind of like, okay, so then some women are low value because they don't have those things. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me. Your womanhood has value no matter what. Like, it is valuable no matter what. Manhood is valuable. I understand the concept of some men, some women might not have the kind of value that you find important, but that doesn't mean that they don't have value as human beings, right? Like, as people. And of course, I'm not talking about, like, you know, dangerous people or toxic people or things like that. But I do think that this narrative of high value versus low value is just not something that I love. And I feel like associating being a high value with womanhood can kind of insert seeds of doubt into many of us and into many of our hearts. Like, well, am I a high value woman? Like, what do I have to do to be high value? Like, I want to be high value. You are a high value woman just for the sake of your womanhood. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Being a woman, being alive, being a human, you know, a person who cares for other people, a person who loves other people, doing their best to navigate the world. And again, like, you don't have to come into the comments and be like, no, there are some low value men. Because I do understand the concept. I'm just saying, I think the wording is a little off, and I don't love the idea that some women might start to feel like their womanhood is of low value if they don't have certain things, if they don't reach certain, you know, thresholds or benchmarks or whatever. Jasmine Theodora did a really beautiful video explaining this high value man thing, and she was so respectful about it. I loved it, and I loved everything she said in that video. So I will link that down below for you guys to check out if you haven't watched it already. It was really, really good. And I agree with all of those sentiments. Like, what one person considers high value, someone else might not consider high value, right? Like, one person might consider a high value man to be someone who makes a lot of money, right? Maybe he has to make 6 figures, maybe he has to make 7 figures, I don't know. But someone else might consider a high value man a man who doesn't make as much money but has more time to spend with you. A man who doesn't have to focus so much on work because he can cover the basics. He can cover, you know, a vacation once or twice a year for your family. And then he has time to actually pour into his relationship with you, with your children, and whoever else he finds important in his life. So what we define as valuable is different for everyone. So this idea that your womanhood can potentially be low value, I want us to get away from that, because everyone values things differently. We're all going to see things differently. I want us to kind of move away from that language because I don't love it. Maybe that's just like a personal one. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, that was only 8 things, so I was trying to get to 10. If you can think of any others, please leave them in the comments below. Just remember that femininity is your birthright, and a lot of people online will try to tell you, like, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. And I'm not here to be one of those people. I'm here to encourage you to be your authentic self, to enjoy and love who you are as a person, as a woman, and allow your femininity to shine through that. You're a woman, you have so much inherent value, you have so much inherent femininity, and I just want us all to recognize that and love that about us, because it does make us very, very special. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can also head to my blog if you want more of this content at thefemininefancy.com. You can follow me on Instagram. I do daily stories at _thefemininefancy_, and I will see you guys next Sunday. We're getting really good at this Sunday schedule. So I will see you guys next Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.